Good morning. My name is Reverend Teresa Soto. I'm the lead minister here at the First Unitarian Church of Oakland. I'd like to welcome you this morning and ask you to please turn your video off while we light the chalice and Black Lives Matter candle. This will allow people to see the words on the screen and follow along. We also recommend that you make certain you have the most updated version of Zoom on your computer. Please note that we're recording this service. So if you don't want to be in the recording, please just keep your camera off. We're so glad you're here. Welcome.
Good morning. It's so nice to be heard and seen here. We are an intentionally multi-generational, multiracial, multicultural, inclusive, and anti-oppressive institution. You are welcome here. My name is Dan Wright. I serve as secretary for your board of trustees. Here with me this morning are Pastor Teresa Soto, Alex Haider-Winnett, our worship producer Vincent Rains, and many others who make this joyful experience possible. We invite you to fill out the guest connection card you'll see in the chat. We want to be able to support your exploration of what's available in our community that interests you and how you might participate. Again, welcome.
Now, if you join me as we say the words to light the chalice and the Black Lives Matter candle, with everyone on mute, we join to say, we light this chalice today, a symbol of Unitarian Universalism, in part as celebration of COVID-19 vaccines that bring us closer to being together in person. And we commit to health and safety for everyone, leaving no one behind. Also, each week we light a Black Lives Matter candle in solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement. We light this candle in recognition of the Black Lives Matter movement and in recognition of the systemic racism that tries to deny the full humanity of Black people, and commit to dismantling it with daily action. We begin today with a challenging text. It's a story that includes disability. As you hear it today, I give you two tasks. First, listen to where the transformation happens in the story. Sometimes in healing stories, the healing and the transformation don't happen to the same people. The second thing is this. Passages like this have often been used to harm disabled people. Today, we will take a different route. We'll read the passage now and discuss it more later. It's the story of Jesus and Bartimaeus. As Jesus was leaving town, trailed by his disciples and a parade of people, a blind beggar by the name of Bartimaeus, son of Timaeus, was sitting along the road. When he heard that Jesus the Nazarene was passing by, he began to cry out, "Son of David, Jesus, have mercy on me," really loud. Many tried to hush him up, but he yelled all the louder, "Son of David, have mercy on me." Jesus stopped in his tracks. "Call him over." They called him. "It's your lucky day. Get up, he's calling you to come." Throwing off his coat, he was on his feet at once and came to Jesus. Jesus said, "What can I do for you?" The blind man said, "Rabbi, I want to see." "On your way," said Jesus. "Your faith has saved and healed you." In that very instant, he recovered his sight and followed Jesus down the road. May it be so. Now is the time when we greet each other. So please go ahead and unmute your microphone so that you can say hello to your neighbors.
Muy buenos días, everyone.
Hello, neighbors.
Good morning.
Hello, neighbors.
Hello, people. Hello.
Good morning, everybody.
Hello, people.
Morning,
Hello,
everybody.
Hi.
Morning, Marcy.
Hi, Carol, Ron.
Hi,
Hey,
Vera.
Marcy.
Good morning.
Janice.
Hello,
Charlotte.
Julie.
Hello.
Hi, Kathy.
It is.
Barbara.
See
Barbara.
all your
Morning, Mary.
faces.
Ron, hi. Hi,
Hello.
Charlotte.
Hi, Charlotte.
Alex.
Debbie.
Carol.
Good morning, Dennis.
Good
Hi,
morning.
Phil.
Morning.
Hi, Mark.
Lila, Rinda.
Hey, Evelyn Sedman.
Where are you?
Charlotte.
Hi, Rena.
Good
Hello
morning,
there.
Hi, Debbie.
Hey, Ron.
Hi, everyone.
Hi,
Carol.
Dennis.
Hi there.
Hi.
Good morning, John.
Hi, Deborah.
Dennis. Thank you.
Mary
Marcy.
sounds like a cacophony, but it just
Carol.
makes me so
Hi,
happy
Jody.
to see your wonderful
Hi,
faces.
Cassie. Hi, Jeffrey.
Oh, no.
John. Hi, Emily.
Is there a Kathy? Hi,
Aaron.
Kathy. Good morning.
Hi, Kathy.
There's Kathy. Hi, Rena.
Hi,
Donna.
Kathy.
Oh, I hope you're there, Barbara.
Hi, Claudia.
I want to
Good
be where
morning,
Vera is.
everyone.
Vera's in her garden.
Oh, beautiful.
Welcome to the newcomers and visitors.
Oh,
Yeah.
friends, this
Good
is
morning,
Esther.
Esther.
Hi,
part
Jill.
of the service that I miss the most.
Hi, Greg. Hi, Emily.
Hi, Emily.
Ron.
Hi. Hi, Greg.
Hi, Greg.
Hi, Hester.
Hi there. Hi,
And
Rebecca.
I invite us all to mute once again. There will be time to gather some more soon. This is definitely the part of the service I miss the most. But we mute and gather back together. It is so nice to see all your lovely faces and to see into your homes and travels together. Many UU communities. Come, whoever you are, uses a transliteration of unknown origins of a poem by the 13th century Persian poet Jalal ad-Din Muhammad Rumi. The tune was written by Lynn Unger, a white UU minister originally from the Bay Area. It is a song of welcome and greeting that we hear in many UU services and gatherings. But many Muslims within and beyond Unitarian Universalism have noted how this hymn has stripped much of the Universalist Islamic theology out of the poetry. UU Muslim ministers Reverend Sana Saeed and Reverend Renwa Hamami note that one particular line, quote, "Though you've broken your vows 1,000 times," highlights the merciful nature of Allah, central to Islamic theologies, and the acknowledgement that it is human nature to make mistakes, including ones that cause harm. A scholar named Shargazadeh, who goes by the Twitter name @PersianPoetics, offers this translation, which returns Islamic theology to text. Quote, come again, whatever you are, come again. If you're a kafir or idol worshiper, come again. This home of ours is not a home of hopelessness. Even if you've repented 100 times, come again. As we sing this hymn today, let us recall the ways that Islamic culture and theology are an important part of our tapestry of love we call community. And we are grateful for our siblings who have offered us insight for a deeper and more personal understanding of our living tradition. Please join our chancel choir in singing hymn number 188, Come, whoever you are.
Come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshipper,
Friends, please join me in a time of stillness and reflection some call prayer. Spirit of love, life, and justice, you who go by many names, we acknowledge your presence, the way that you bind us together even when we are apart. We give thanks for this opportunity to be together in worship with our chosen beloved community. We lift up those in Texas and the Midwest who are struggling with climate change, as well as those around the world who do as well. As we sit here on the last day of February, in the cusp between Black History Month and Women's History Month, we give thanks for the women and femmes in our lives and in our history and in our futures who have guided the way. We pray for our decision makers and our government that they work for peace, justice, equity, and fairness. We lift up those who are sick, injured, and suffering, that they might find comfort and care. And we lift up those who are celebrating and rejoicing, that their joy will be ours as well. Now let us share a moment of stillness and silent reflection. For all these prayers spoken and those that remain in the silent sanctuary of our hearts, for the people, places, and events that weave us together in a tapestry of love we call community, we say, Ashe, blessed be. And now is our time for reminders and announcements. Slide up on the screen. First of all, I'd like to invite you all to our annual meeting in 2 weeks, Sunday, March 14th, from 10:30 to 12:30 here on Zoom. There will be a short devotion, and then we will move into business of our church. As a reminder that our church is democratically led, and the power to make change and to make the work of the people work lies in you. So if you are able, we would really love to have you so we can have quorum. If you have any questions or uncertain whether you are eligible to vote, please reach out to Jody Matthews and to reach out to Reverend Soda for more information. After the service, we are having our second religious education workshop, where we will examine some of the challenges that we are facing in religious education and some of the joys and opportunities that lie ahead. It is an hour-long interactive and collaborative worship led by me, your Director of Religious Education. And so we love to have lots of people participate and lots of buy-in in our dreams together. The link will appear in the chat window at the end of the service. There will also be coffee hour and conversation afterwards if you prefer that. And next week on Saturday, we would like to invite you to a workshop on the 8th principle that has been proposed. The 8th principle that we are discussing and hopefully voting on is on issues of fighting white supremacy and racism and oppression. So there will be a conversation as well as caucuses hosted by the Journey Towards Wholeness Transformation team. So we hope that you will join us next Saturday for that with Reverend Paula Cole-Jones, who is amazing and a personal hero of mine. So these are just a few of the opportunities coming up. I invite you to check out Chalice Chatter for more. There are lots of wonderful things happening in the life of our church. So today, I would like to reflect from the Christian tradition, from the Gospel according to Mark, chapter 10, verses 46 through 52. It is a relatively simple passage, one where Jesus gives sight to a blind man named Bartimaeus. It falls into a category of gospel stories that I like to call Jesus tells everyone to chill out. You see, these stories all have a similar structure. Jesus is hanging out with his friends. They are talking. We're never quite sure what they're talking about. Maybe Jesus is retelling a joke that Martha told, or he's dismayed that the empire had crucified another man, or maybe he's teaching with parables. Then some random person comes to Jesus asking for help. Jesus, someone is doing exorcisms in your name. Or, Jesus, help me see. Or, Jesus, tell me what it takes to get into the kingdom of heaven. Let us sympathize. And then Jesus' disciples get angry. They say, whoa, friend, that's not how we do things around here. Just hang out for a while, watch and listen, and you will learn how this whole thing works. Then, maybe then, Jesus will help you out. But Jesus turns to his friends and says, no, guys, come on. You've been here the whole time, and you still don't get it. And that's when he turns to the random person and says, friend, sell your possessions and follow me. Care for one another. Love God. Have faith. And you will recognize your wholeness. Come here and be healed. Now, honestly, I can relate to the disciples in the story. Sometimes when someone new comes into one of my communities and starts making suggestions or demands, my first instinct is to say, whoa, come on, you can't come in here and start telling us what we need to do. We've got a system here and it works pretty well, so just wait and learn and you'll find your place here. But that sort of thinking of wait your turn and learn the rules is a mode of scarcity. It is a belief that freedom is zero-sum game. And friends, there is no faith in sort of thinking. There is no liberation. Instead, we are told to have the faith of a newcomer. A random person on the side of the road can heal us. Jesus heals the blind man, yes, but not just that. He heals the disciples of their prejudice. They are shown how we are to treat the stranger, to welcome those who have faith us and are important. I can also relate to Bartimaeus, the blind man. What you need to remember here is that Jesus is not the only one working miracles. Here on the frontier of the empire, Judea was lousy with miracle workers, magicians, faith healers, and others who were promising results. In the case of Bartimaeus, Jesus was probably not the first miracle worker he saw. He probably paid many to cure his blindness, offering money and allegiance to those who promised to make him see. I have sought communities that would welcome me, communities that would accept me for who I am and say, friend, you are worthy here. Your work is important. We are glad you are here. Also, I identify as a person with an invisible disability. Growing up, I was often told, Alex, we know that you're smart, but you just have to apply yourself more. I struggled in school because organization has never really been my strong suit. I easily get bored. I've always struggled with deadlines. I've never really been what people call detail-oriented. I have a tendency to procrastinate. I get hit with bouts of executive dysfunction where even the most basic tasks feel as impossible as reaching through this screen and shaking your hand. I get overwhelmed and overstimulated easily. My mind has a tendency to wander, and my body does too. And as I got older, professors and supervisors would tell me, Alex, you need to work smarter, not harder, because I don't really know what finished projects look like. And maybe this might sound familiar to you. When I was 35, I saw a therapist. We talked about these issues and how they've caused anxiety and depression, and how it was affecting my schooling, my work, and relationships. She nodded and asked me, Alex, has anyone ever talked to you about ADHD? I was taken aback. No one had ever talked to me about attention deficit hyperactivity disorder before. But I had spent many hours reading posts on an ADHD forum, laughing at how familiar it all felt. So she talked to me about how all these things I experienced were classic examples of ADHD, and how when I was a kid in the 80s, there was a stigma against missing kids, even boys, and that my symptoms weren't common for my gender. The way my symptoms played out were much more common for girls, and much like the women who struggled with ADHD their whole lives, I had fallen through the cracks. This undiagnosed ADHD had probably made me struggle my entire life, leading to secondary trauma and mental health issues. And now I'm 37. And I'm on medication to treat my anxiety and depression. I'm doing work through researching adult ADHD, participating in cognitive behavioral therapy, and working with my family and coworkers to make things work. 2020 has been a breakthrough for me. I'm more satisfied with my work, with my marriage, and with myself than I have been in years. I have used this knowledge to meet career goals and to move toward accomplishing my dreams. But I still have an official diagnosis yet. Anyone who has ever tried to get ADHD testing done for themselves or a loved one knows that it is an incredibly difficult process, often stymied by institutions, bias and stigma in medical providers, and made more complicated by a worldwide epidemic. Now, I tell you all this because I feel like I owe it to you as your interim director of religious education, a spiritual leader in your community, to tell you a little bit about how my brain works. but also a recognition that our brains all work together differently. As someone who this community's minds, bodies, and souls, it is my responsibility to know that tailoring religious education and worship to different learning styles is a justice issue. Even before the pandemic, I heard people tell me, Alex, my kid doesn't like worship. They think it's boring. Or religious education doesn't appeal to my family because it feels like another day of classroom requirements of sitting still and paying attention. And this has been even more as we moved into virtual church. The idea of requiring kids another hour of screen time on Sunday morning is so hard for families. Heck, I'm hearing adults say the same for themselves. Church without singing next to loved ones, warm hugs, engaging in difficult conversations over coffee just doesn't feel like church. And I also hear from my peers, people who were raised UU but left in young adulthood because the meaningful, spirit-filled, interactive worship of our childhood is absent from Sunday morning worship. When teens graduate out of youth and are thrown into a traditional worship setting, they are often met with a rude awakening. They tell me, I don't like being lectured to each week. Or they say, the hour-long sermon sandwich just doesn't do it for me. Or they say, hey, I don't listen to classical music and weird old hymns on the weekday. Why should I listen to it on Sundays? And I get it. Some of the best worship services I've been to were outside of a UU setting. Dancing and clapping and singing at Glide Memorial, a Passover Seder at a friend's house, a concert at a dingy punk club, hiking in the woods, a powerful podcast, a meaningful conversation with a dear friend. And when I hear that worship and Sunday school aren't working, my question is always, what would make it work? And what is stopping us from making it happen? I know we cannot meet everyone's needs all the time, nor should we have to. Part of being in community is knowing that we sometimes need to appreciate that a part of the service is just not for us. Knowing that the person beside us maybe is getting something out of something we don't really like or want. And then liking it a little bit more for it. Worship is a time outside of capitalism, outside of the dominant culture where we are not obligated to be entertained, amused, and catered to 100% of the time. Worship is a time where we're allowed to be bored for a little bit. On the other hand, this is your worship community. This is all of our worship community. The power to make it work resides in you, in all of us. Furthermore, as we are worshiping and learning together from our individual homes, there's nothing stopping you from making worship work. If you want to dance while we sing hymns, then dance. If you want to doodle during the sermon, then doodle to your heart's delight. If you want to be on a treadmill during worship because that helps you pay attention, then do it. If you want to lie in your bed in your PJs and listen, then friends, get comfy. If Sunday is the one day a week where you have an excuse to get all dressed up, then get dressed as fancy as you want. If you want to play bingo for UU catchphrases and jargon, then play that game. If you want to build an altar in your home that you change with the seasons, then friends, please send me a picture of it because I would love to see it. This is your time and your space. So make it work. This is true with religious education too. If you need something, ask for it. If you have an idea for a class to teach, let's get it on the calendar. If you have a question that you want Teresa or me to address in a class, let's get those questions answered because other folks might have the same questions. If you want a series of questions to ask your kids over dinner to help them do theological reflection, we can get those to you. If you have dreams for what RE can look like, I hope you will join us after the service for our next workshop on the challenges today facing religious education and how we can imagine working with them to build something new. Disability activist Mia Mingus wrote, quote, "Access is a practice of love when it is done in service of care, solidarity, and justice." She continues, "When access is a practice of love, it is no longer simply about logistics and something you have to do, but something you want to do. Faith requires turning yourself over to something larger than yourself. Faith requires taking bold risks with the possibility of failure. Faith never comes easily and is often tested. Let us go forth with the willingness to take loving risks of faith that bring us into greater communion with each other, with the divine, and with our greatest potential. May the work we do together be the one that is deeply rooted in faith and love. May we take risks for one another. May we accompany each other with a loving servant's heart. May we move accessibility from logistics to relationships. May we look to the margins and see ourselves. And may we find the cure for what ails our soul in the faith we have for each other." I'll hand it over to Patricia, who also has a reflection of the reading and topic today.
Thanks, Alex. Let's go ahead and give Alex some love for that sharing. Go ahead and turn on your camera. You can do finger hearts. You can do hand hearts. You can do arm hearts. Let's see them. Let's see your hearts. Hand hearts, arm hearts. Thank you, Alex, for sharing truth with us. All right, well, I'm going to reflect for about 5 minutes. Don't get too nervous. You're going to have a line I need you to give. So go ahead and turn on your microphone. Are you ready for your line? All right. Your line is, "Hey, could you please pipe down?" Let me hear you say that. "Hey, could you please pipe down?"
Could you please
pipe down?
Hey, could you please pipe down? All right, so at the beginning of this section, when you're going to do your line, I'm going to tell you to unmute your microphone, and then I'll be like, "Okay, go," and you'll do your line. Are you ready? All right. Well, white musician and artist Amanda Palmer has this to say about asking for help. Asking for help with shame says, "You have power over me." Asking help with condescension says, "I have power over you." But asking for help with gratitude says we have the power to help each other. And in our reading today, we find Bartimaeus asking for help. He says, hey, over here." Are you ready for your part? Go ahead, get ready. We're gonna do your part right now. Hey, over here. You go.
Hey,
Pipe down over there.
So, the religious model of disability says that disability is in fact a punishment from God. This is the same kind of model as a conception that the earth is flat, or that the inside of an atom is like a plum pudding with distinct pieces inside. These are ideas that people used to have, but as we understand more, our perspective as humans is changed and expanded. So instead of assuming that the story is about fixing disability, we can listen for transformation, but also not the way disability is fixed, changed, or repaired, but instead included. As a multi-generational, multiracial, multicultural, anti-oppressive religious community, multi-generational, multiracial, multicultural, anti-oppressive religious community, you have abundant possibilities for inclusion, and you will have to direct your attention and effort to them as a community. One of our current and updated perspectives about religious education is that religious education is for everyone. One of the complexities of inheriting a framework of so-called rugged individualism is that we have set up a competitive situation in which one person is the helped object and the other person is the helper, with the helper being the more desired role. Is it though? Is that real? That's Bartimaeus. He called for help. Hey, over here. And at first, are you ready? It's gonna be your turn. The community said, you go.
Would you pipe
Hey, could
down
you
over
pipe
there?
You pipe down now.
Pipe
Yeah,
down.
we've heard enough.
Pipe
Pipe
down.
down.
Pipe
Pipe
down.
down.
Pipe down.
But then something happened. The people around Bartimaeus ended up saying, it's your lucky day. This is a touchstone for your will to be inclusive. Can we say to each learner, friend, today is your lucky day. One of the things I appreciated so much about Alex sharing is that he could identify the moment in which someone said, let's open this door. It's your lucky day. There's support, there's help, there's love, there's possibility. We do not ask people to grow and learn in the shadow of shame. We are not a community that exercises power by exercising domination over one another. I'll add quickly here for clarification that we exercise power by clarity and accountability, working within our roles and sharing expectations as we go. Come, learners, come away from shame. Come toward teamwork. Part of the transformation in this story happens in just this moment. The community goes, get ready. Community goes from saying, you go.
Hey, pipe
Hey,
down.
Would you pipe down now?
Down over there.
Go from saying, hey, can you pipe down to, wow, it's your lucky day. Let's try that one. Wow, it's your
Wow, it's your lucky day.
You're so lucky today.
lucky day. It's our lucky day because we get to be together and ask these questions. Then we see Bartimaeus jump into action. He throws off his coat. I don't know why the people in the Bible have to take their coats off. Maybe their coats were like really heavy or something. But they do. They take their coats off. I sometimes tell you that we are looking for the people who are looking for us. We do not ask learners to perform lack or loss or something missing in order to arrive in learning community. There is no room for condescension in that relationship. And indeed, the teacher's question, when Bartimaeus arrives, is really simple and straightforward. What can I do for you? Including the people that religious education is for, and that's everybody, is an issue of leadership. White pastor Reverend Rex Edwards reminds us that in the nature of every member ministry, that's us, everybody counts, everybody has a spot. we realize that the question is not how can we be ministers, but how did our ministry go last week? We begin looking at the lives we are leading, and we begin to see possibilities for satisfaction, areas in which we would like to help, and times when we failed. We are no longer trying to achieve status, but simply dealing with matters of application. And even bigger, the possibilities of relationships. Learning relationships in our community happen in a web. As an active participant in congregational life, part of your ministry is to give help and get help with gratitude. To give learning and get learning with gratitude. Julie Rising, a content creator living with a disability, puts it this way. I feel like one of the issues is that society considers disabled kids as heroes, but magically a drain on said society once they become adults. I need you to do your line one more time. Are you ready? Go.
Pipe down.
Please pipe down.
Pipe down.
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 Boy, I can't.
The answer is no. You do not need to pipe down. Other learners do not need to pipe down. Disabled learners do not need to pipe down. Do you know why? It's because it's our lucky day. Liberal religious educator Maria Harris offers that a fuller and more extensive curriculum is already present in the church's life, in teaching, worship, community, proclamation, and outreach. The curriculum is the entire course of the church's life. Your actions, your goals are what make up the course of the church's life. Today is our lucky day. May it be so. Let us see to it. Now we have a song. It'll be on video. So what I encourage you is to listen first, and then as you're able, join in singing. We'll stay on mute for this one.
Change is coming. What do we need to imagine? Change is coming. What do we need to imagine? 'Cause I know from brokenness there's hope. I know from brokenness there's hope. Change is coming. What do we need to imagine? Change is coming. What do we need to imagine? To be prepared. I know I'm scared to be prepared. I know I'm scared. I know from brokenness there's hope. I know from brokenness there's hope. Change is coming. What do we need to imagine? To be change is coming. I know. What do we need to imagine? To be prepared. I know. From brokenness there's hope. To be prepared. I know. From brokenness there's hope. 'Cause I know. Change is coming. What do we need to imagine? Change is coming. What do we need to imagine change is coming? What do we need to imagine? Change is coming. What do we need to imagine? 'Cause I know from brokenness there's hope. I know from brokenness there's hope. Change is coming. What do we need to imagine? Change is coming. What do we need to imagine? 'Cause I know change is coming. What do we need to imagine? Change is coming. What do we need to imagine?
So every week at staff meeting, we're always talking about what's going on in the work of the church. And, usually it's like, oh, I got a workshop coming up, or I have to write a sermon, or there's bills to pay, or things like that. But every week, Stefan's got this amazing project about how he's like sanding and revarnishing our doors, or like putting a new coat of paint on something, and really taking advantage of the quietness of the building to make it beautiful for us when we return. And I cannot wait until we get to see what the building looks like when we get back. But most importantly, I cannot wait to see the building with all of you in it. The work of the church continues even as we are not gathering in the same place. And the work of the church still requires your time, talent, and treasure. So this is our time of generosity, when we share what we have in our abundance for one another, so that when we gather together, it is a place of beauty, strength, and transformation. So we will be giving you the information on how you can give, and I hope you give generously. And we have a short message about the chemistry of generosity.
The British Midra said, "It is not what we have that matters. What matters is what we give away with love." Today, our invitation to generosity invites you to connect the love that you have for your community, for your family, for yourself, and even the world all about us, with your action to give, both for your own good and for those around you. We have many ways to give, including the app Give Plus, a link at uuoakland.org, and the texting number that you see on the video. In the chat, you'll find a link with additional specific instructions. We thank you for participating with us, and we know that you're the expert on your ability to be generous. We welcome all gifts and no gifts according to your capacity. Thank you for practicing with us today.
The gifts we share serve as a catalyst for the love of our group. So I invite you, or first thank you for all of your generous gifts, whether it be time, talent, or treasure, that make the work of the people continue. And I invite you to recite our congregational generosity to the work of the church, which is weaving a tapestry of love we call community. We dedicate ourselves to these. Elliot just came to say hi and love you, and that was really nice. Sing hymn today is the unofficial theme song. It was written in 1971 by the Ghanaian rock band Osibisa, and it is called Woyaya, which translates as "We Are Going." We're doing with Stefan is sing Woyaya.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Woyaya, 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 woyaya.
Friends, we extinguish our chalice, the symbol of our faith, but not the warmth of community, the fire of commitment, or the beauty of truth. Let the work we do here bring us through the week until we gather together again. Once again, I'd like to invite you to the workshop we are doing after the service on the future of religious education. Vincent has just added the link into the chat. It is 1 hour and is just interactive and collaborative. But whether you join us or not, our worship has ended, but our service has just begun. Have a wonderful week.